Yeah, so I'm shiplapping the boards, and I was going to use my small table router, which I use a lot, and it's worked very well for me over the years. But the boards are 12 and a half feet long, 13 feet long, 148.5, so 12 and a half feet, I suppose. And the they I've got some stands for supporting lumber, but in this application they just don't work well because really I need another person here to hold the other end because it wants to flop over the table. So I've got a couple of big double hand routers, but they don't work well in boards that aren't supported like this, where they're bouncy. So again, I got my little Ryobi here, and I got a brand new Amazon ordered bit, and I put the smallest because it comes with a bunch of different size bearings, and so it gives me a full half inch, a little bit over actually. And the now it's to go a half inch in and halfway through this board is too much for one cut for this thing. It can do it, but you got to go very slow. It's really too much. So what you can see here is I did it in two stages. Okay, I did basically in half, and then you can see there now I'm on the second layer, if that's visible there. Okay, and I have to make 8 boards like this for this wall, 9 boards. And so, because this is a 12-inch board, but it's a half inch on each side, so there's 11-inch exposure, and I need 96 inches or whatever. So, something like that. So basically what we're going to do here now is I just got to finish this cut on this half of this board. And these were 16-foot long boards, but there was a split end that I got to kind of cut out its junk. It's too split up. So by the time I cut the split end off, cut out this board I need here, there's a 23-inch board left, which I need. So I'm getting to use the full board that's available, just not in one piece. So it actually works out quite well. So this little Ryobi hand router, I can't tell you how many times this has saved me. This is just a great little tool. It was affordable. These cheap Chinese lithium 5 amp or 6 amp, I think they're, what are they? 6 amp hour batteries I got on Amazon. They work great. They hold up. I have a couple of the Ryobi ones, and one failed, so I sent them back. I took the money, and for one Ryobi one, I was able to get 2.5 of these basically. So actually no, like 2.7 or 2. Like they were less than half price. So so I got a couple of these, and these hold up well. I've been using them for a year, and they haven't failed. The Ryobi one actually failed. So, whatever you can see. Then again, I've had a bunch of the Milwaukee ones fail. So, I mean, they're lithium-ion batteries, and they work when they work, and when they don't work, they're junk, and they're good to puncture a nail in and watch them explode. So anyway, great little tool. Love it. Easy to use. The older Ryobi one was hard to hold on to, and this one is not the greatest, but you'll see like this newer one has this. The older one is kind of square. The older one was, I had one, and it was so hard to hold on to, I got rid of it. But this is the newer design. I've done a video on this already, but this one. And it works great. And I had the Milwaukee one, and the Milwaukee one I brought back is more than twice as expensive and didn't work any better. So now, Ryobi's 12-inch saw does not work as well as this Milwaukee. This Milwaukee saw is the cat's meow. It works great. And I've done videos on it, and people say it's a blade. And yes, it is a good blade, but this is also a good saw. The torque in this is better than any of the corded ones. I got a DeWalt, I got a King, and I got something else. I think it's a Craftsman corded. Yeah, it's Craftsman. And none of them have the torque or the power of this one does, but it's got a 12 amp hour battery on it. I mean, this thing just, even with a dull blade, I mean, it works great. So Ryobi has their good things. Milwaukee has their good things, like everybody else. This Bosch table thing, this is mediocre at best, But ironically, the only router that would fit this Bosch thing that I could find locally was a Ryobi, and this corded router, and it actually works quite well. I've got a DeWalt, I've got a Craftsman, I've got 4 or 5 others, and none of them fit the 10-to-10 plate. This Ryobi one was cheap as hell, and it fitted, and it works. You know, so anyway, whatever. But yeah, so I did a time lapse on this here, chopping these. I sawed the boards. Now I think I'm going to bevel these too. I'm not sure if I'm going to bevel them or not, or if I'm just going to leave them square. I might leave them square. I've been beveling the ceilings. I might leave these square. And this is, you know, these are still at about 20%. So they're going to shrink a little bit. So I'm going to nail them together tight and they'll open up a bit, but I'll pre-paint them. And I'll video that as well. So I'll pre-paint the lap. And this is the bottom one. I groove both sides. I guess I'll probably do another board because the bottom one doesn't need groove on both sides. And yeah, and this will save me a lot of work and a bit of money. And I can actually nail cupboards to it, you know, much better than I can drywall. And this will look real good when it's done. This is going to be painted canary yellow, I think it is. Actually, she picked out. So anyway, I like the wood color, but I don't get a choice in that. The colors are wifey's domain. So yeah, so got a old, I mean, I'm working with bare minimum tools here. I got an old DeWalt saw that I'm using to square the edges. I tried to do it on the bandsaw mill, but they weren't square enough. So I had to, they're square enough for most things, but not for what I was doing here. So I ran them down to table saw again. I left them a little bit wider in case I had to do that. And then I got the old King Canada planer I've had for a couple of years. I put a lot of boards through it. It works. It actually works quite well. It's quite tough, so I can't complain about that too much. King tools overall have worked very well for me. And I'm using the Ryobi router. So, you know, that's straightening the edges. That's, you know, setting the thickness. This is making my lap. And I don't know if I'm probably going to put them up with exterior. I only have galvanized, but I think they only make them galvanized anyway. Exterior round-headed siding nails is I think how I'm going to fasten these. They're too big for crown staples, and I don't want to use my nail gun because it leaves too many indentations. And you know, the nail from a nail gun is not sexy. And then I'm back puttying them because the wife won't want to see them, and then I might as well be plastering drywall. So anyway, that's how I'm doing it. I'm sure somebody has better tools and a better way, but I'm poor. I have shitty tools, and this is the way this will work. It's a little bit more work than some of the other videos I've watched on YouTube, the guys with the real nice shops. But you know, I'll 3 or 4 hours, and I'll have enough boards for the whole wall done. It takes a little bit more time for me to do it when I'm videotaping it, because I'm only videoing one board, and the rest I'm going to do off camera, and I'll zip through them a lot faster. I'll run them all through the planer, then I'll run them all through the table saw, then I'll run the one after the other. I'll run the router down, and they'll be done. So I'll the next video you'll see of this will be me painting the lap. Probably you know, painting the lap, and then installing them. So I hope this helps somebody, and if anybody has any suggestions on how I can do it quicker on a budget, I'd love to hear from you. Cheers.